Jesus tells his apostles to share the peace with any house that is worthy. The recent events surrounding the death of George Floyd and its aftermath bring images of confrontation, hatred, violence, and anger. There's one part of the letter of Paul to the Thessalonians in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 13 to 15 that came to my mind when I reflect on these images. And that quote is, "Be at peace among yourselves, and we urge you, beloved, to admonish the idlers, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with all of them. See that none of you repays evil for evil, but always seek to do good for another and to all." That's sharing the peace, isn't it? Isn't that what Jesus says in this week's gospel? These gospel readings are all about evangelism, which, if you look it up in Webster, defines as zealous preaching and dissemination of the gospel. This, to me, is that great commission. Every day we need to remind ourselves that we share the peace of Christ. We need to share the peace of Christ with everyone we come in contact with through both our words and deeds. We must be intentional about this, and by sharing the peace that we feel, we're also accomplishing our mission statement in our congregation to invite all people into a trusting relationship with God through Jesus Christ. End of story.
So what fires you up about all of that?
I've always been fired up about evangelism. I think as you mature in your faith, you go through stages. And in the beginning, I think it's all taking things in and growing and increasing your knowledge. But at some point, you get full and you need to start sharing that with other people. And with greater understanding of the scripture, I think that gives, and with the help of the Holy Spirit, I think that gives you confidence to go out and do that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of scary, and I don't think it needs to be going out with a Bible in your hands on a street corner. I think it's by your actions and caring for other people and literally sharing the peace, just like we do in church.
So it's taking that peace that is given between us, and now in a virtual manner where online we're sort of over the airwaves sharing that peace with one another, and households share that peace. And how do we do that in the environment in which we live in today? And what I mean by that is, how do we do that under let me say it this way, under two pandemics at once? The pandemic of coronavirus, but also now what's being labeled the pandemic of racism. So how do we do that?
Well, I think you need to do it one-on-one.
Yeah.
I think it has to be person to person. And in that kind of a communications where the other person, you let them know that you care. And what is sending you is the message of Christ to share the peace.